Roll call, please.
Almond, Caligiuri,
Yes.
Comfort,
Here.
Joss,
Here.
Hermson, here. Huberty,
Here.
Ocean,
Just bring sound here, make sure we got it. And Janet, you can hear us okay apparently, right?
Yes, can you hear me?
Bob, can you push the button on
Yep.
this?
That's what I was trying. There it goes.
Thank you.
There you go. Hi, Janet.
Okay. I think that sounds better. Okay. First up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included on the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council. Asked to keep statements brief. Time is limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council. So that way concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? Please come to the microphone. Name and address, please.
My name is Melissa Hoos, 1010 Fifth Avenue East, Oskaloosa. So I came in tonight, you guys have probably, half of you got a voicemail from me this last week about our animals in the city. We have a lot of animals running at large in the city. We have an animal control problem. I don't know if it's their funding. I know their hours are weird. When they're not open, we're supposed to call the non-emergency PD, and 99% of the time those people will be told to let the animal run. It was today or yesterday we had 2 dogs running down South Market Street chasing cars in and out of traffic, stopping traffic. The police department was called and they were told to let those dogs run. We have private citizens picking up stray animals, acting as animal control. This is a major safety issue in our city. Dogs are dangerous. We love animals in our community as a society, but dogs can be dangerous, especially if they don't know you. And we need to figure out what's going on so that we can properly take care of our at-large animals. If it's our animal control hours or what's going on there. Because we do have so many animals in our city, and it's not just the dogs, but we just have to figure out what's going on so we can properly take care of not only the animals, but the people. I can't tell you how many times I've been attacked on my own property in the city of Oskaloosa by animals at large. So it is a problem, and it's a growing problem. If you look at the Oskaloosa, Iowa Missing Pets page on Facebook, there are multiple posts a day about loose animals, and there will be people that picked up an animal in the middle of the road, and the animal shelter has told them, you picked up that animal, you're responsible for it now. What is our animal control and our shelter for? We are supposed to be funding them and not only taking care of, but it's also taking care of our public. If you have a child outside playing and you have a dog that's not so nice and runs up, it can easily maul or attack a child. It can maul or attack an adult. I have been attacked on my own property multiple times. This is a big problem, and I don't understand what's going on. I can't tell you how passionate I am about this, because it's going to get somebody killed, and it's going to be a major lawsuit, because they're going to say, what happened to animal control, and why didn't the city of Oskaloosa do something about this? We need to do better. We can do better. We're the city of Oskaloosa. I know we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi all, my name is Alan Frame. I'm at 110 16th Avenue East, Oskaloosa. I saw you last week for the first time, and this week I would love to praise and thank you all for the great job that you're doing. This is a wonderful community, and I appreciate every one of you. Talked with a couple of you this week and this past week. I do have a couple concerns still. I have been almost every day out at the skate park there, and it is so much cleaner and nicer. I don't know if any of you noticed. I'm still picking up at least a bag a day. I end up skipping this past weekend, and so I picked up 3 bags today. I had to dump. And I think it was because of the Hy-Vee and just a bunch of, it's mostly cigarettes, boxes, alcohol bottles, and the fast food from Hy-Vee parking lot and the Musco where they're parking. Not as much at the park, skate park anymore. So I was just wondering, instead of the officers doing just the drive-bys there, when you see the group of the kids out there, have some kind of a community, maybe walk over and, hey, you know what? If you see that, because they're starting to use the sprays paint on the inside of there, and maybe even the permanent markers, which we don't want to get all marked up. And I've seen it on the sidewalk a little bit too down there. Besides that, in that skate park area is the signage. I believe I talked to you, Bob, about it, or Ben, about the signage, about having to abide by the rules of the sign to the skate park. 6 feet from that rotunda is a sign that says no pets, no smoking. People are there smoking and they're there with their pets. So that's why I'm thinking if the officers got out of the car instead of just drive by, hey, you're not allowed to do this, a couple warnings would be very helpful. The homeless problem seems to be getting a little more than the past few years that I've been living here. And I haven't seen the 2 or 3 that I've come in contact with too and tried to minister to this past week. It disappeared. I don't know where they've gone. Hopefully they're being taken care of somewhere else or just moved somewhere else. And maybe just the last thing real quick, the information I just gave Matt, our little cul-de-sac on 16th Avenue, they redid the street last year with the pebble and the hot tar. Snowplow this last year ended up hitting in front of my driveway and my neighbor's part of the street, and it ripped it up about 3-4 inches of it. And I end up trying to put it back in place. I asked my neighbor because it was on her property. But for some reason, this last big storm we got, the water flow stays back from the middle of my driveway. It flows backwards and it won't go down the street anymore. So my sump pump around my foundation keeps spitting it out, but it keeps blowing it back in. So for 3 days after that storm, I was out there with a broom pushing water down the street to try and get it away from that. And once I got it past my driveway, it started to flow again. So I don't know if we can do something about that, but that's, major for me, but minor for the city as far as a little cul-de-sac. And just the last thing, I did talk with the fire chief, or not with him, but a young man and Miss Alexandria over at the firehouse last week about lighting and vibration for me being deaf now for fire protection for me for my home. He gave me a little card with my name and number. I know Red Cross is real busy right now, or American Red Cross, but I still haven't heard back. So I was wondering if that could be looked into again, maybe.
Chamber in Main Street. We wanted to thank Rhonda regarding our summer events. We spoke with some key stakeholders and business owners and just wanted to know that we are following up on those meetings. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Judy Gernendijk, 516 North D. First of all, I just want to say thank you to you all because during the Knoxville National said, you have a beautiful city. And they said, we can tell by how neat it is and how clean that you take pride in it. So I just wanted to pass that on to you all. Because a lot of times we get a lot of criticisms, but we don't always hear the praises. Another thing, personally, I'm sponsoring a retro antique tour in November, and this will be the third one that we've done. Our main goal is to promote tourism to the city and boost our economy. We were surprised the first one in April that we had people coming from Lincoln, Nebraska to visit us, so that gave us a lot of encouragement to keep going with this. It's a lot of work, a lot of marketing, but we're really hitting the tourism marketing, and we're hitting our Airbnbs, promoting stays here, as well as retail shopping. So grateful for their support that we've had in that, and we're looking forward to November.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on. Next item on the agenda is a proclamation that I'm signing for the Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. And so I'll just go ahead and read out its text here. Whereas pregnancy and infant loss is such a common occurrence, one that is usually not recognized, and many Oskaloosa parents and families have suffered a miscarriage, a stillbirth, or the death of an infant during delivery or shortly after birth. And whereas this devastating tragedy often occurs suddenly, without warning, because of miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm birth, sudden infant death syndrome, accident, or other causes or complications, and Oskaloosa wishes to acknowledge the profound grief experienced by the families who suffer the death of the baby. And whereas Oskaloosa wishes to acknowledge the existence of the babies and infants that died far too early, and even the shortest lives are still valuable, and the grief of those who mourn the loss of those lives should not be trivialized. The 15th day of October is recognized in parts of the United States and in many other jurisdictions around the world as a day of remembrance and awareness of pregnancy and infant loss. Whereas this proclamation invites all residents of Oskaloosa to participate in Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month and Wave of Light, an annual day of remembrance and awareness of pregnancy and infant loss on October 15th. And now, therefore, I, Mayor Dave Kreutzfeld, do hereby proclaim October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in Oskaloosa and encourage parents, caregivers, and all residents to become educated in opportunities to prevent pregnancy and infant loss and to support bereaved families when prevention is not possible. And by the power vested in me, do hereby proclaim the 15th day of October 2024 to be Pregnancy and Loss Awareness Day, signed the 7th of October 2024, signed by me. And so, would you please, first off, is there anything you would like to comment on in addition to what I've said?
So my name's Brooklyn Hayes, and I'm just an advocate for Pregnancy and Infancy Loss Awareness Month after having 2 losses of my own. So I just want to thank you for signing this proclamation and bringing attention to pregnancy and infancy loss awareness. And by signing this proclamation, you're showing families that they're not alone. And I also want to thank the City of Oskaloosa for having the gazebo lit blue and pink for the month of October again this year. I always look forward to looking at that every year. So thank you. I would encourage anyone to light a candle on October 15th at 7 p.m. For Worldwide Wave of Light. And then if anyone is looking for support for themselves or someone that they know who has had a pregnancy or infancy loss, or they just want to know how to support someone, the Oskaloosa Public Library has a display out for the entire month of October on their 2nd floor. So thanks again for everything the City of Oskaloosa has done to raise awareness and show support for pregnancy and infancy loss. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gotta be out front. You gotta get your picture taken.
There you go. there is a second proclamation that I'm signing tonight as well. This one has to do with Community Planning Month in Oskaloosa, and it reads as follows. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, townships, rural areas, and other places, and whereas community planning can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people live, work, and play, and whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the shared visions of their neighborhoods, and whereas the full benefits of planning require public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions that sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our neighborhoods and environment. And whereas in October 2023, Oskaloosa was awarded the Daniel Burnham Award for a comprehensive plan from the Iowa chapter of the American Planning Association in recognition of our planning efforts with Plan Oski. And whereas Oskaloosa is pleased to now welcome the team of graduate students from the University of Iowa's Initiative for Sustainable Communities program as they begin work on a downtown master plan and to update Oskaloosa's downtown historic district design guidelines. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to again publicly recognize the dedication of the Oskaloosa Planning and Zoning Commission, city staff, consultants, students, and the many community partners who contribute their time and expertise to the future of the city of Oskaloosa. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Dave Kreutzfeld, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as Community Planning Month in the city of Oskaloosa, Iowa, in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. And so, Sean, do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Of course. We like Sean. Nice.
Mayor, Council, thank you. As you know, planning is your most effective tool for managing growth and change. It gives us the resources that we need to help us make informed decisions, and I want to thank you for your ongoing support for planning, and thank you for embracing it. We've got a great group of people here with your boards and commissions. They do a wonderful if you ever have time to attend some meetings, hear our conversations. So again, thank you for your support.
Okay, moving on in our agenda. Item 7 is the adoption of the consent agenda. These are items that are motioned and seconded and voted on as a single motion. There were a few items that I wanted to draw the council's attention to. Item F is the motion appointing a representative to the Board of Adjustment Commission. This would be Byron Bruxford. And item G is a resolution setting the date of consultation and public hearing on a proposed amendment number 3 to the Oskaloosa amended and restated urban renewal plan in the city of Oskaloosa. Item H is a resolution determining the necessity and setting dates of consultation and public hearing on a proposed Edmondson North urban renewal plan for that area in Oskaloosa. And then item I is a resolution that fixes the date for a public hearing on the proposal to enter into a development agreement with Edmondson North LLC. For publication, that hearing is going to be on November 4th. And then item J is a resolution fixing the date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter the development agreement with Gateway 2 LLC, and that's on October 21st. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Next up is the announcement of vacancies that we have on various boards and commissions in Oskaloosa. The Airport Commission, we have one vacancy. It's for a term ending December 2027, and one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2028. The Building Code Board of Appeals, there's one vacancy for an ex officio member. The Board of Adjustment, there's one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2029. Mahaska County Solid Waste Management Commission, we have one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2020, it'd be December 2024. The Historic Preservation Commission, one vacancy for a term ending in December of 2027. And then the Municipal Housing Agency, we have one vacancy, and that's for a term ending in February of 2026. Getting into the regular agenda, first up is to consider an ordinance rezoning property that is located at 1507 3rd Avenue East from CC Community Commercial to GC General Commercial District. So going into the notes on this, Lane Bremen of Bremen Tree Service applied to rezone the property of 1507 3rd Avenue East from CC Community Commercial District to GC General Commercial. Application states the rezoning will accommodate construction of a headquarters building for the company. Heavy construction services and building trades contractors are permitted in the GC district, but not the CC district, likely because CC is a mixed commercial and residential district. The subject property adjoins GC zoning to the east, CC zoning to the south, R2 zoning to the west, and CC zoning to the north. And so the findings coming from I assume from planning and zoning, the site is a former brick plant and a brownfield site, so it's unlikely to be redeveloped with new housing. And so the proposed amendment is preferable to the existing housing in advancing the comprehensive plan's vision for redevelopment of this former industrial site. The comprehensive plan's future land use map recommends park space, light manufacturing, production, and heavy commercial uses in the area. And it would be interpreted generally, not like a zoning map where it's quite rigid. So the boundaries between land uses show approximate areas of transition, and with the recommendation for mixed commercial industrial uses in the area and matching zoning to the east, the proposed zoning appears consistent with the comprehensive plan. The property is large enough to accommodate reasonable development that complies with the zoning requirements. And the pace of commercial development has increased over the past couple of years, and the amount of vacant land that is zoned for comparable development has decreased. So the rezoning would help maintain a competitive land market that promotes economic development. And then finally, the proposed zoning is consistent with the stated purposes of the zoning ordinance. So there is a recommendation for the passage of this, however, it does require a public hearing. And so I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to speak to this tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
I'm just trying to look at the map. I think I can see where my house is, but but some things are cut off. So that's A Avenue here. Where's the hospital? Is the hospital
It's way up.
way up? Well, there's C Avenue East.
This is by the old Epic Mall, right?
Yes.
So
by
by,
our church.
by what?
Do you know where Bank I was at?
No bank I was at.
And Ursula Tractor Supply, it's immediately,
Yes.
basically
Okay, so
immediately
it's back
north.
in that.
Across the
It's right when you
street.
come down the
Okay.
hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the
Right.
west.
At the
It'd be nice to see them done none of that property.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's been scrub ground for a long
Right, looks
time.
better.
Wow.
yeah.
I know, I was
Looks
ready
a
to
lot
do
better
garden
already.
allotments back there or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Something. Okay, now I get where it is. I just couldn't see any other landmarks. So-
Okay.
Store here.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sometimes people will say the old Kmart, and I don't know. So it's
Yeah, that's farther east.
That's really dating it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that would be good.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Comfort,
Yes.
Joss,
Yes.
Hermson,
Yes.
Ingerge,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item B. This is to consider a resolution accepting the final project acceptance and authorizing the final change order number 1 and pay application number 4 for the North G and North 4th Street reconstruction project. Blowers Construction completed the work, is requesting final completion on North G and North 4th Street reconstruction project. The project included the reconstruction of 2,010 square yards of PCC concrete roadway. Also included in the request is change order 1 that adjusts the contract price, increasing it by $3,428.10. That reflects the final quantities for work completed on the project. The city also received the final pay application number 4 that includes a $3,800 payment for seeding and release of retainage in the amount of $12,155.14. The total $15,955.14 to be released 30 days after project acceptance. Staff has reviewed the work, recommends approving the final completion of the project. The breakdown of cost is in the packet. Do we have a motion of support?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just want to say that the contractor did a very well job, a very good job on the whole project. I was really impressed in regards to the green space. Nice level and everything. And then also, there's a good picture here. Why we don't want to plant trees in the city right away. That one right there. Granted, it's an old tree, but things are going in, the new ones that they put in already down the road, they're going to do some damage to the curbs and whatnot. But no, they did a great job.
I did have one question. Some citizens have asked me, what happened to the bricks?
Probably got recycled, I don't know.
Does anyone know? I've had several people ask me, and I really would have liked bricks.
Probably the old Oskaloosa brick.
I know. Those are valuable. I'm just curious. Like I said, I had a few people ask me, and I didn't know.
We didn't specify the disposal method for the bricks, so it was really on the contractor how they wanted to. I know that a lot of times when we have these bricks that show up, that people will come and ask if they can take them, and usually the contractors let them. But as far as the way it was contracted, it was just on the contractor to dispose of them.
Okay. Well, if we could, sometimes. I mean, I once saw a historic barn torn down in Winterset, and they took all of the wood to the landfill. And they had no idea how much money that was worth. So,
yeah.
Same with bricks. I mean, it's, so just curious, like I said.
In my experience, these bricks, I know people have a lot of emotional value in them, but the actual financial amount that contractors have seen or that people have been willing to pay has not really been financially viable for a contractor to really salvage them actively.
Yeah.
So.
It's okay. I've spent 4 days at the Cheer flea market, so anything goes.
They collected about 100 of those bricks when they did 4th Avenue.
You want an Oskaloosa brick? I got one.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Joss?
Yes.
Ernst?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Calgetti?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item C. This is consideration and action on a resolution relative to a contribution to project repair costs on the Law Enforcement Center. I'm going to read the entire explanation out so the public knows what the council is going to be considering here. The city is a party to the joint law enforcement agreement with Mahaska County under a date of September 3rd of 1996 relative to the Law Enforcement Center. That agreement provides that the county is the owner of the center and that the city agreed to lease for police use designated areas of the facility. The agreement called for the creation of a working committee to annually review the finances and funding of the Law Enforcement Center and to make recommendations to the parties regarding their respective budgets for the following fiscal year. The agreement recognized that the actual decisions as to the appropriate funding is to be made by the governing bodies of the city and county. The agreement provided the committee would use a rent formula set forth, which included the sum of $2,400 for a maintenance and repair fund that's payable by the city, with the county likewise to pay their $2,400 annually into the maintenance and repair fund. In fiscal year 2023, plumbing pipes at the center were determined to be leaking, and the repair project costs were estimated at $160,000. So in fiscal year 2024, the city set aside funds in the amount of $80,000 for use on that project as a critical need for continued use of the facility. due to a loss of city revenues of $42,000 in intergovernmental contributions from the county for library services. The funds necessary for allocation to the projected plumbing repairs were backfilled from city fund balances. So on September 16th, the county presented to the committee an updated estimated bid, now projecting costs of $210,750 to replace the iron plumbing pipes with PVC pipes. It's necessary for the council to consider and determine how council wishes to address the current situation and give direction as to how to proceed. Options. A is to approve the contribution in the amount of $105,000 for use towards the plumbing repair project. B is to approve a contribution in the amount of $38,000 as anticipated and budgeted for in fiscal year 2024. In that case, there would be a budget amendment required. Or the third option would be to approve the annual contribution in the amount of $2,400 as otherwise called for in the 1996 Joint Law Enforcement Agreement according to the terms and conditions of said agreement. So staff is recommending that we discuss the matter and approve a resolution directing and authorizing the contribution of funding for the plumbing repair project to the Law Enforcement Center in such a manner as we determine is meet and proper. So that is the problem that sits before the council.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Mayor.
Okay.
I just have a question.
So, at this point, Robert's rule says we should start off with a motion as to what someone thinks is the right thing to do. Understanding that with discussion and reflection, that could very easily change. I've seen these sorts of things happen before where somebody makes the motion for something, and then as it gets talked out, they end up voting against their own motion.
We can amend the motion too, can't
And
we?
you can amend as well. So, do we have a motion to get us started in this conversation?
To get us started, I would make a motion to approve a contribution in the amount of $38,000.
Okay,
I'll second that.
there's a second.
I want a second one.
Lisa can have the second.
Yeah, let the minutes
We know.
reflect.
Thank you.
Okay, so that gets the conversation started. Is there a reason you came up with that?
Well, frankly, I wanted to get the discussion started.
Middle ground.
The question I have is, I see where we've contributed and budgeted for things. I don't see anything about anything that the county has contributed to this. Are we aware of if the county's contributing to this project, or is that just part of the joint funds from the $2,400 that we've contributed?
When we discussed the project, we're not sure about the total cost of the project. Right now we're saying at $210,000 estimate. I'm not sure where that funding is going to come from the county side, but I know we're committed and obligated to set aside every year $2,400 to contribute towards the maintenance fund. If that fund is less than $20,000, that's what we're obligated to do. When we were discussing the project, the pipes were leaking. So at that time, it was a critical need, and it was just an estimate. That was in fiscal year 23. We set aside funds in 24. Project did not happen. Now we're looking at this estimate.
So then, is the maintenance fund under $20,000? Do we know what the balance of that fund is?
Balance
The
is
balance is over $35,000 right now.
Okay. And the county is the owner of the center.
Right.
And we lease.
Correct.
Okay. And I assume the county is the owner because the sheriffs and the deputies are there? Is that
They just
correct?
own the building.
Yeah, in 1996, this was funded with local option sales tax.
Okay.
And so, at the time, we were real interested in doing a renovation of the library.
Okay.
The county was real interested in getting rid of the jail and building a new
right,
one.
I've seen where the new jail is.
Yep, and so what there was an agreement that was struck, and then in the interest of cooperation, the city of Oskaloosa could share that facility as well.
Mhm.
However, the personalities involved, and I was one of them, we were very careful that people in the county didn't want to see the city of Oskaloosa get too good of a deal. to some degree. I'm being very blunt here.
Okay.
And so what was arrived upon then was, okay, then we'll do a leasing agreement where the city of Oskaloosa has no ownership, but they're allowed to occupy. And then we went back and forth through a negotiation process to come up with that rent, what that was going to be.
Right.
And some of the restrictions that were placed on whether or not personnel could cross into the other person's turf, that sort of thing. At the time, it seemed a little ridiculous, and as you get in 2020 hindsight, it seems even more so. But that's what was done at the time, and so that's where that rent agreement comes from.
Okay. Okay.
Now, as long as I'm yakking away here, what is the scope of the work to do this major project, $200,000+? Are we talking repiping the whole thing, tearing stuff, getting behind the walls, all that sort of thing?
That's my understanding, replacing the piping, the whole plumbing system.
Okay.
Okay.
And I have two questions. One, I assume we've maintained our rent payments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you want that money, and that. And two, this does not seem to be any cosmetic, like we want new color paint or something, and that a renter would be obligated for. But this is basic health maintenance, the pipes, because you can't have iron and PVC. It's a health issue, right?
Well,
Could be.
iron, yeah, it's not lead. But
Right,
it-
right.
yeah.
But it's still, we talked about that with the wastewater, what's contributing to copper and what's contributing. We don't want too much minerals in our water supply and that. Okay.
So my understanding though, the parts that were leaking were repaired, right? What they want to do is just go ahead and replace everything. So that really doesn't fall under repair further.
Yeah, that was my
Agreement.
question.
Great point. So we have had some major leaking issues in the past. Their idea is to replace all the cast iron because it's over 25 years old and it's starting to corrode and there will be more leaks down the road.
Right.
The major leak we had in Lieutenant Johnson's office has been repaired. The pipe was replaced. We have another one in our records section that hasn't leaked in a few years. We don't know that that's the pipe. We think it might be clogs from upstairs because we are underneath the jail. So sometimes prisoners have some interesting habits that cause things downstairs in our office. But as of right now, we don't have any active leaks.
Right.
Is there also threat of black mold? Any kind of water damage, which is a major health hazard?
We have not seen that yet. A lot of the leaks occur where the concrete is, so
Okay.
they're easily cleaned up and not behind
Okay,
drywall.
but that again, it's a major health,
Yes.
major. And once that enters a building, it can almost be uninhabitable.
Is the, so we're looking at a big job here. Is there any way that could be phased? Okay. Okay.
Question I have, Amy, I'm looking at a copy of the original agreement back from 1996. And it states that the rent that we pay is, regardless of the amount, it includes utilities and janitorial fees and that $2,400 per year for the maintenance and repair fund. Do you know how much we pay? What is our rent payment now? Ballpark?
35,000.
Okay.
So, and that is based on the space that's occupied back in that original agreement.
Okay.
So I think we did 35 and I think the county was doing 150. So
Okay.
it really puts into that fund. The main fund right now has a healthy balance to it. So we were in the past years contributing more than the 2,400 to the maintenance fund, just thinking it needed to be up a little bit higher.
Okay.
than it was.
So we're making some preemptive payments knowing that it's too low.
Knowing that, yeah, if
Right.
air conditioning, something like that went out.
Right.
The balance of the maintenance is at
35 around.
35K, right? That was from the contribution of 2,400 a year. So we're over the 20.
So I know our agreement with our 2080 agreement with the school district for the rec center, the Y and early childhood education center. has a clause in that 2080 that the city and the school contribute annually. I forget the exact dollar amount, but for a maintenance, ongoing maintenance fund. There's also a clause in that agreement where we agree to contribute annually to a capital improvements fund. And the idea is if you're going to expand it or for some of those major expenses. As I've excuse me, as I've skimmed through this agreement that I got literally 10 minutes before the meeting, I don't see anything in here in the agreement where we're obligated to any capital improvements. It's a deal to where the county owns the building and we rent space. So to a certain extent, I'm not saying this is the right answer, but one way to look at this is I'm renting a house from Charlie, and I've got a water line leak in my basement, and Charlie's asking me to replace to not only fix it but to replace all the plumbing in my house in the house that he owns that I'm renting.
Or I'm raising your rent.
Right.
Or you're raising the rent. Right. And so, but there's that balance, right? So, I mean, that's just another perspective to look at this.
The way I was looking at this, as far as helping them out, is to use that 35K. It's 35, right? 35 and change?
Yes.
Since we have no budget on this, so that would have been item C on your actions here. It says 2,400, but use the balance of that 35
So,
towards that.
so if that dips below the 20,000,
I know,
then we're
right.
obligated to by
Right.
agreement.
So rather than doing the 38 here on item B, because we'll have to change the budget for that, right?
Yes.
See,
So
that's
you-
my thought.
So you're suggesting 18?
No, item C only says
Only
2,400.
24, okay.
What I'm saying is, we
Okay.
have a balance in the maintenance of 35 and change there. You let them use that.
So in
I
essence,
have-
it wouldn't pay the entire project,
No.
but it would allow them to attack whatever the worst.
Right, and we won't have to
Problems
make any changes to our budget.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Lisa?
2 questions. I'm not sure how this building is insured. Is there any, I put in a hidden water clause into my homeowner's insurance just for some of this, but that's probably not a possibility on insurance. From the county's aspect, I'm just looking at other funding sources.
It would be, it's their building, so it'd be employed
Right.
by their, I don't
So,
know if that question.
I don't know if they've
specifically
checked, yeah.
provided.
Yeah, that might.
I think,
And then if you could clarify, we've moved to due to a loss of city revenues of 42,000 intergovernmental contributions from the county for library services. Now I'm trying to see how these two dovetail.
So,
Just clarification.
so if you had an agreement with somebody,
Right,
they didn't pay you, but they're expecting you to pay them.
right.
Your inclination should be, well, what's the net difference? Who gets paid?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the theory is at on this, is
Okay.
that, we've had to make up $42,000 of what we thought funding was coming from the county that didn't arrive.
Okay, okay,
And so they're asking us to give them more money. Perhaps we can net that out.
okay, okay, so it's a wash then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And we own the library, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
But it's a county service.
Right. That's where that comes from.
Right.
So we have a motion and a second on 38. We have some additional conversation that suggests 2,400 might be the more appropriate. That doesn't have to be, that way no budget amendment is necessary. And introducing that we are a leaseor, leaser of that. And so ownership is, we'd be in effect spending money on something we don't own.
Right.
But, there's a
And-
request for cooperation.
Right.
Get that.
And one last clarification, this 38,000 is based on more than 2,400 per month. We've been generous
Right.
in adding to a fund. Okay, so we've been generous. Okay. I mean, it didn't offset any future funds or anything like that. We've paid above and beyond. And that's how we have 38,000. Okay.
Yes.
It's a close call for me personally, Mayor. I mean, I agree with what Bob's saying. I mean, it feels kind of gross releasing this and we're being asked to pay for it, but also on that same token, I mean, I also like the idea of being a good community partner on something like this, and I'd hate to see necessary work also get put off and have this problem balloon and become a bigger issue, you know? I can go either way on this. I mean, I'm fine with the 38,000. I'm also fine with the 2,400.
Okay.
And
I made the motion, obviously.
Yeah.
And I too feel people not only work there, but I'm afraid people in the jail, right, live there. So that consideration, you know, is a health issue.
That's great. Likewise, I mean, I see it from all aspects. I think I like in what Charlie said. I would like to be a good community partner. I agree with what Bob said, though, is we're occupying space in a building based on the agreement from 1996. As much as we'd like to go, well, that maybe wasn't the best way to do it, that's the agreement we have. In addition, we've contributed to a fund that's ample at this point, again at $35,000, right? That's the number that we can still contribute to this project. So it's not as though we're saying here's $2,400 and we're walking away from it. We're really saying here's $2,400 plus $35,000 to contribute to this project, which again is, if I'm doing math, and math is my strong suit, is almost $38,000 that we're talking about still, right? So I mean, to me, it seems like that covers all our bases and save $600, right?
So if we had used the fund that's there, the 35K, I just lost my train of thought here.
Plus the 2,400.
Well, that's our annual payment, 2,400, because it'll be below the 20.
It will be 20, and we'll have to continue to contribute 2,400 a year until it's
Back up to 20. But for now,
We'll satisfy
so
all
item C,
our obligations while
item C
contributing
is just
still.
saying, just pay them $2,400. Can that be, can we mention the balance or not?
The way I read this
That
agreement,
30
Joe,
yeah.
is that there's a committee that consists of, consists of one council person and
Yeah,
one
I'm on
county
that.
supervisor. Okay, so you're the representative, and that you would authorize, the two of you would authorize or at least recommend the authorization using of those funds.
Funds, right.
So we would give our approval
Right.
that you can use the full balance towards this project. I mean, as part of our action tonight.
So the balance.
Full balance being 38.
It's 35.
It's 35.
That anyone
Okay.
is saying is in that account.
35 what? Just 35?
35K? Yes.
Round numbers.
35,700.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we have Janet, who is not here, but she is part of the meeting. And so everybody's thrown out an opinion. Do you have one, Janet?
Yeah, I like how Joe mentioned earlier regarding our budget. We don't have it in our budget. We already have a very tight budget. I do want to be a community partner though, but I think that we should look at using the $35,000 that are in the fund. Obviously, it will need to be replaced at some point in time, but is there a better fiduciary way to do that in phases instead of all at once? So then we can actually have time to plan for something in the future if there's a major undertaking.
Okay. Okay. So, any other thoughts or opinions?
I kind of go, I mean, this discussion's been great. I go back to I think where I'm at is that I go back to what the agreement says. We've done everything that it says. We've contributed, and this is what they're recommending do. I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be done or shouldn't be done, but it's a capital improvement to a building that they own, and we lease space from by a very defined calculation. Utilities of X number of dollars based on the square footage that we use, plus janitorial fee, plus repair and maintenance. I think there's somewhere in here, again, if this agreement is, if we as parties agree that this come to a consensus that it's outdated and needs revised, I'd be happy to talk about what that looks like. But that's going to require both parties to sit down at the table and talk about that. And I'll be blunt, Mayor, that's the mood I'm in. We haven't had a lot of success with these types of agreements and those negotiations, but I am willing to sit and talk about it because we need it's a beautiful building. It's served great purpose for almost 30 years. We need to maintain it, but we need to make sure that we're doing it in a just and fair way. And we don't own the building. There's no agreement that says that we're responsible for the capital improvements. And the maintenance fund is what repairs the leaks that have been happening. And if we need to increase that, then maybe we need to increase that amount.
Well, this agreement should talk about CIP too.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't.
Right.
So I'm agreeing with Bob. I'm also going to worst case scenario because I've been a renter a number of times in my life. Is there any danger they'll sell this building? Okay, I'm just asking because that's the danger when a building is starting to, my daughter rented from that landowner in Davenport where the building collapsed, and he's still renting properties. And that. So I'm just asking, if they sold it, then where are we?
Yeah, and so you're right.
Just worst case scenario.
I suppose there is a scenario where it could very well be sold. And I think about the city of Oskaloosa at one time owned a post office, and we sold that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a lease agreement, and we sold it. So, so yeah, anything is possible when you own something.
Yeah. Because it feels a bit like blackmail, and then that.
So what we have is a motion to make an expenditure of $38,000, and we have a second on that. Any further comments? If you don't agree with that, then you would vote no. Okay. Roll call, please.
Hermsen?
No.
Ibrahim?
No.
Ocean?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
No.
Comfort?
No.
Drost?
No.
Okay. So the motion fails. Do we have another motion?
I'll make a motion to option C.
Okay. Which is the
24.
Annual contribution of $2,400 is called on by the agreement. But then would you also include with that the authorization to spend the $35,000 maintenance fund?
Motion would be for item C, 2,400, including the balance of 35,700.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's in our balance for the maintenance fee.
Is that on the books of the law enforcement center, or is it on our books?
It's
on their books. So we're authorizing them to spend it as far as we're concerned. Okay.
For a total amount of.
Almost 38,000.
Almost 38,000.
Yeah, see, we don't have to use,
Okay.
so we wouldn't have to budget this one.
Okay.
And Joe, the 2,400 we referenced is a 2,400 that we would have already had included in our budget.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're
now-
not approving an additional 2,400.
Right,
It's previously budgeted as part of the rent payment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For the agreement.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Or Abu can second
I'm going to
it.
take it too.
Okay.
I know, you gotta let
Did you get that, Amy?
Okay. Any further comments on the new proposal or new motion? Okay.
Can we hear that proposal again? I'm sorry, we hear it.
Okay. So the motion that's made is
Sorry.
one of the city of Oskaloosa has contributed to a maintenance fund that is on the books of the law enforcement center. It has $35,700 in it. And so what the city of Oskaloosa will do is say, we authorize from our side, the spending of that balance to be used for fixing this problem. In addition, we also note that we are contractually obligated to $2,400 a year that goes into a maintenance fund. And so that is included, just acknowledging that we don't back away from that. And that's really basically it. Okay. Any further comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. That wasn't so hard. Okay, moving on to item D. To consider a resolution in support of a residential project being proposed by Bloomfield Acres LLC or related property. Bloomfield Acres expressed interest in developing approximately 200 units complex in the city. The developer intends to build multifamily structures, generally duplexes and townhomes, up to 8 dwelling units per structure. Complexes are maintained and operated by the developer. The proposed development poses an opportunity for meeting an identified community need for rental housing in the next 5 years. According to the city's most recent housing study, there is a need for up to 355 housing units to be built between 2020 and 2030 to meet the community's demand for housing. Staff is recommending a resolution of support for the project as it aligns with the city's strategic and comprehensive plans. The measure aligns with the strategic plan's goal to increase housing stock and supports the city's economic development strategy. It also follows several housing recommendations outlined in the comprehensive plan, such as using public investments to promote private development. The resolution stipulates provisions up to sale of property and tax abatement as allowed under Iowa Codes Chapters 404 and 403. So the next steps are to work with the developer to identify a suitable site and then approve a development agreement to formalize the terms of agreement, including setting an urban revitalization district and the review and approval of detailed plans. Do we have a motion of support for this resolution of support?
Move.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Janet got, no.
Give it to
sorry.
Janet. Give it to Janet.
Janet got the second on that one.
She probably said it before.
Whatever Amy didn't write down, that's what we're changing.
Yeah.
There was a delay, Amy.
Yeah. And there's a budget on how much we spend on erasers, by the way. So careful on that. Okay, any comment, questions? Roll call, please.
Ocean?
No.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E. This is to consider an ordinance amending Chapter 10.48 of the Oskaloosa Municipal Code. This is for parking restrictions on Stadium Drive. Staff is recommending an ordinance change to accommodate the new roadway construction and parking on Stadium Drive. Currently, the parking restrictions on Stadium Drive end at the end of the existing pavement. This ordinance would add additional no parking restrictions on Stadium Drive to the end of the new pavement to be constructed. Parking will be allowed on the north side of the road in designated angled parking stalls. Proposed amendment will update the following text modified based on the final decision on the parking regulations required in section 10.48.240 having to do with no parking zones in subsection 165 of the code. Basically saying that Stadium Drive would have no parking on the north side from Green Street to 1,300 feet west of Green Street. Also on the north side from 750 feet east of the city limits to the city limits. And also on the south side from Green Street to the city limits. Staff is recommending
It's consistent with the plans that were submitted and already approved.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Hermson?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting to the part of the end of the regular city council agenda. This is when we typically ask for comments from city staff and council members. Let's see, starting off with city clerk. Let's do that.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, city attorney.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, city manager. Okay, Lisa.
Yes, compliments to What Cheer. I spent 3 days at the What Cheer flea market, and it is a world unto itself. Anyway, it's always a great learning experience. And secondly, I want to give a nod to the Jefferson County Chamber. They are organizing a political debate. I'll be there a week from Wednesday, and so they're having the House candidate and the Senate candidate at a chamber-sponsored debate. And so it's very nice to see how involved they are in civic affairs.
Okay. Joe?
No, nothing.
Charlie?
This is either for Chief or Dave Dixon. What is the city's obligation on animal control?
They'd gone on their own. I remember having thought at the time, I wasn't sure it was well advised, but that's what they've done in any event. Now, what happens now, and obviously we got that question too before about dogs and such. When a complaint is made about dogs at large, it goes to the shelter. The shelter then gets a report to me if they can track down who an owner is and get specifics. Then we do go ahead and file those actions. We've been filing a bunch of dogs at large infractions of late. Amy's been sending me checks for filing fees to file on some of those. Likewise, if you have a dog that threatens or bites someone or is aggressive, there's a methodology set up under city ordinance where the owner is given a dangerous dog notice, saying essentially you either need to put the dog down or get the dog out of town. Now, there is a methodology under the code where you can keep a dangerous dog, but it's incredibly onerous. Most people don't do that. I think there's one person a while back did make that election, but most people do not. If you get a dangerous dog notice and you think, well, Rover's really not a bad dog, you can appeal. And we've had several of those lately. Actually, we've got one set for next Wednesday, dangerous dog appeal, and then a panel meets and examines the report and the incident and such, and obviously the owner is there too. Makes a determination. If they determine it is not a dangerous dog, fine, life goes on. If a determination is made it is a dangerous dog, then once again the animal either needs to be put down or get the dog out of town, so it's not in town, not around here anymore. So there are steps that are taken with dogs. And with that, now I don't know if you've spoken, sorry, got your mic there. I don't know if you've spoken with the police or the animal shelter. I would suggest if you do have any situations like that, certainly call Nicole out at the animal shelter. I don't know if you've spoken with her or not.
It's not very helpful with animal control's current hours. Their hours are pretty limited, and they're only open the hours that the shelters are open, so what is that, 3 days a week now? So unless you're encountering those animals on those 3 days a week, during their open hours, that's when they're instructed to call the police non-emergency number, and they're gonna tell you to let the animal go.
Yeah.
I know those animals that were running on South Park today, they get loose all the time, and one of them actually bites.
And if one, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but if one does bite, by all means, that should be reported because a dangerous dog notice should go out on that.
Well, the thing is, the animal shelter staff, they follow that page. They see that we have a loose animal or that we have an animal in our possession and that we can't get a hold of them. And I actually had to call City Hall from Missouri that last week because we had an animal that we couldn't get a hold of the animal shelter and our non-emergency police, because what are they gonna do with the animal? Are we expecting them to just unlock the animal shelter for us? We just don't have the animal control hours.
And some of that relates, of course, to concerns beyond the city's power. The city does not own the shelter. The city pays money to and supports the shelter for its services. I'm sure, as with anything, the shelter would like to see a larger contribution, and certainly a larger contribution from the county and other cities.
Yeah, yep, right. We need to move this off away from the meeting, but certainly the conversation can certainly continue at that point.
Is there a process so that we could have a committee?
Available when they're not open and actually have animal control.
Okay.
Yep.
And I don't know that it's necessarily a funding issue. I know a lot of that it might be a staffing issue. I don't know. It is definitely something that I would love to talk more with you guys about, love to
definitely need to figure something out for them versus.
Okay, why don't we schedule a meeting with the city manager in the near future then, and go that route. Bob?
No,
anything?
sir. Thank you.
Abu? No? I'm fine as well. And so the next option, I'm sorry, what?
Janet?
Janet who?
She's in the dark.
Janet, anything?
No, sir, thank you.
Oh, come on. Really? Okay. So next on the agenda is the opportunity for a closed session. This is a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5.1C. This is discuss strategy with legal counsel on a matter that is presently in litigation or in which litigation is imminent, where disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the city's position. Dave, do you have anything to contribute to that?
Thank you. Acting pursuant to the requirements of the Iowa Public Information Board, I would state and indicate that the closed session to follow is to discuss legal strategy in a pending matter with Brad Beeman and/or Maria Brownell, acting as counsel for the city in connection with this matter, acting pursuant to a contract existing between the parties to discuss pending litigation.
Okay, very good. So the city council it needs to go into closed session. We will be leaving to go to the other room. So audience, you're welcome to stay if you like. But we need a motion to go into
closed session.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Hermsen?
We lost her.
Checked out.
No, she's still there.
Yes?
Okay.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. So we'll go ahead and go into closed session. Okay, we are back in. Okay.
Speak into that.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we are out of closed session, and there is an opportunity for action here. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve contract with Carly Nelson and Company as construction manager at risk for the Oskaloosa Recreation Center natatorium completion project.
Second.
Second.
Ooh, sorry.
Can
Okay.
I second it?
Okay, there's the second. Any discussion?
Let's get the project done, Mayor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You gotta have some
Roll call, please.
Hermsen?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Caligiuri?
Yes.
Comfort?
Yes.
Dross?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Having no further business tonight, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Good work.